Hello, everybody. This is Cartoon Network Geek, the official proprietor of this channel, and welcome to our first episode of Off the Network.
I kidnapped him and brought him to Nigeria.
Yes, obviously, I'm in Nigeria right now. I'm totally not in the living room of my two-story apartment building, recording in the front room on this couch that is made of shabby leather.
He's actually in a hut underground.
Why did I choose to do this with you?
Because nobody else is around and you can.
You know, there are some things about you that I just choose to change, and one of them is the fact that you have a very shitty sense of humor.
Or I have a free will.
Humans don't have free wills.
You said you want to change that about me. Well, guess what? You did it.
Yes. Anyway, we're off topic already. We're a minute into the recording.
That's the name? Don't you mean we're off the network?
I'm going to kill you in your sleep. Anyway, the topic for today is the most recently what are words? Recently released Pixar film, The Incredibles 2.
Roger Rabbit.
The Incredibles 2.
Yeah. Imagine if I just came onto the podcast, like, pretending to know what the movie was about.
Oh my gosh. But as of this recording, it released this past Friday, and it's done pretty well for itself. I mean, it's a Pixar movie; it's going to do well for itself. But it's a good movie.
Saw it yesterday.
Oh,
at the Norwich Theater.
I saw it. I think it was Saturday. I'm pretty sure it was Saturday.
The Norwich Theater is full of so many shitty, bratty white people. It makes me want to blow my brains out.
I mean, listen, if you wanted to go to a movie theater that didn't have shitty, bratty white people, you would literally have to go out of America.
You know what? That's fair. But it's, like, worse than usual. Like, the type of parents that need a toddler leash sort of thing. Kind of ironic considering they were going to see The Incredibles.
Yeah, I will give you that. That is completely ironic. But, anyway.
Actually, is that ironic or appropriate?
I think it's kind of both. To be fair, it's kind of both.
Yeah.
But anyway, on topic, our opinions on the movie. You know, given the fact that this is my home field, this is where I come to play around. You know, I feel like you should go first, since you're the animation expert and everything.
The animation fucking sucked. Kidding. I will say that I greatly enjoy that they were able to keep the style and still improve on the animation.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was probably one of my favorite like aspects of the movie, like being a quote unquote critic. You know, just the fact that they're able to improve themselves without completely drastically changing everything about the movie.
Yes, that's very that's a very impressive way to. Because if you don't sacrifice the style, if you're able to keep the style and also keep the animation quality, you already know that you have a quality team.
Yeah, definitely.
It also, one of the things I was thinking, how it took 14 years. I was thinking they made it in like 6 years, and the rest of the 8 years was it rendering in their old software.
I actually kind of think that could have been the case, or maybe just Samuel L. Jackson was too busy, doing every other movie except for The Incredibles.
Yeah, well, I was like thinking, it's just a really funny thought to me because rendering takes fucking forever.
Yeah.
Let's
see.
I could just see Brad Bird as that person who's salty enough to not want to change the software.
I mean, to be fair,
to eventually render it. Well, yeah, he's also one of the greatest directors of family films of all time.
That is not an argument here. There is no argument here. That is completely true.
Bless that ginger.
Let's go straight to favorite scenes. What was like one of your personal favorite scenes from The Incredibles 2?
That's actually really hard, but I have a better starting question. this is a general question. Did you know the minute that the sister walked into frame that she was going to be the villain?
Yes. Like,
Yeah. Like,
I think the way it's how do I put this? You've seen Meet the Robinsons, right?
yes.
You know how Goob had like the little dark eyeshadow
Yes.
on it? That's kind of what set it off for me. It was like any character, regardless of how good their intentions seem, if they ever have like dark eyeshadow, like if the animators ever make them with like dark circles under their eyes, there's something with them.
I mean, the entire cast has dark circles around their eyes.
I mean, okay, like if they make them if they make them explicit enough to show that it's like a shadow.
Everybody
there.
else is okay. I'm just fucking with you, but the reason I thought so is because she came in so abruptly.
Yeah, and
Because
one
that's a
thing-
very subversive way to reveal a villain.
Yeah, kind
And-
of. But one thing that actually struck me about this villain was that, you know, see, she's one of those villains that I'm more or less like 50
Agree with?
about. I kind of agree. Yeah, I agree with her because it's the simple fact that, you know, her father was fucking dumb. Spoiler. Spoilers
Yeah.
for anybody that hasn't seen the movie yet.
Yeah, don't fucking come to a podcast that's literally labeled "We talk about the Incredibles 2." I think I'm gonna label it that. Now I'm just gonna label it like "Who Framed Roger Rabbit," the sequel.
Why do you do this? Why? We're gonna get
But
sued
anyway-
by YouTube.
Oh, so we're gonna get sued by YouTube for Roger Rabbit, but not fucking Incredibles 2?
Exactly.
All right, but
anyway.
my point being, yeah, she's definitely. I mean, people can also agree with Syndrome,
Yeah.
though.
Like, I'm with her motives. I don't feel like she had to have taken it that far, but but her reasoning behind wanting to get rid of supers is completely justified. Like, I'm not like completely like just like angry and think she's completely dumb or moronic for trying to do this to the supers, make them completely illegal for the rest of like, you know, time, because, you know, her father had an over dependence on supers. Like, he literally just was like, this was my biggest gripe with the movie, was the father's death. That was my biggest gripe, was just like when the sister immediately mentions the fact that they have a fucking safe room, but
Yeah.
yet he chooses to go to the room where he has all the supers phone numbers and stuff. Just that.
That's
makes
not out of left field, though.
It's not
for
out
some
of
people.
left field, but it's just. I don't think anybody would ever like go that far away from their common sense for their like basic instincts.
I could imagine that here. Their grandfather had a lot of faith. He basically ran their entire protection agency.
Agency.
But he basically ran their entire agency with all of his support money and the fact that he had fucking bat signal phones installed in his house. And some people have that much faith. One of the things that I really liked is there was subtle symbolism. Some people have so much faith that during hurricanes, instead of getting onto lifeboats with everybody else while the flood is destroying all the houses, they'll stay on their roof and pray for God to save them.
Yeah, like I kind of got that. I kind of got that vibe for when he went to the phones too. It's just like he put so much faith. He put so much faith in the supers that he was willing,
That they were basically God.
Yeah, he was like willing to risk his own life in order for other people to save his life.
Yeah. Because he
Which-
believed in them that much. Which
I'm
wasn't
not.
smart.
Which off the record here, if that guy was black, that wouldn't have happened. Just letting you know. if that guy was black, that would not have happened. Like if he was an African American character with an African American actor, he would have stopped. He would have stopped right there, gone to the safe room, and just like, fuck that shit. I'm not dying today.
He would have reached into his shelf and pulled out a revolver.
Yep, like the old saying goes, you can't shoot a kid in Chicago because they'll shoot back.
They won't though.
Anyway,
We're gun controlled as fuck.
anyway,
But what was I saying?
you were
Back-
talking about
back-
you were talking about faith.
Back on off topic. There's the whole thing that really stuck with me is the fact that it's very impressive that they were able to keep both villains of the franchise interesting. Because Syndrome was he was a child at heart, in a sense,
Right.
where that's sort of... Because I also had considered... I basically knew that the female, the sister, I keep forgetting her name.
It's like
Mainly because I
Elena or
saw the
something?
movie yesterday.
I don't know.
Yeah. Eliza?
It might be Eliza because I remember the guy's name was Winston Dever,
Yeah.
and the only reason I know
Winston-
that is because I use like
Winston
the whole,
is not a name you forget.
yeah. It's only and the only reason I remembered his name was because of the fact that it's like Winst and then Endeavor. Like I only use like Endeavor as a means to remember his name.
Oh, that's interesting. What was I saying?
You
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of considered the possibility that he could be behind it just because of how much of a fan he was of Supers.
I feel like my
Just because through the movie, because when she walked in the frame, I'm just like, oh, there's the villain. But
Right.
then as it went by, I always second guess myself when it comes to these things, because
You want to know my
Who
first
knows?
thoughts on the whole screenslaver Winston thing? Like my original idea was that Winston was the screenslaver, and he was only being that villain to give superheroes a good name.
that's
Like-
sort of what I was thinking.
Like it
Like-
was more of a he created the screenslaver as a means to further his own agenda of making supers legal again.
That would have been a equally awesome plot point, actually.
Yeah, like
Just because
if I want to go into movies, I'll think about it. But Incredibles 3 is still a thing that could happen.
I wouldn't want it to happen.
It's Disney. It's
Like-
going to happen.
Damn it. But I do have my slight gripes with the movie just because of my nostalgia. But we'll get
all
to
gonna
that.
have our slight gripes with the movie because of nostalgia. Like I want to try to remove as much of my nostalgia filter as possible when going into new movies, like reboots, like sequels, and all that. Because the simple fact that I am not one to judge a movie based off of what came beforehand. I like to judge it. I like to judge it as a singular movie, unless it's Star Wars and they just decide to fucking rip off the entirety of the old trilogy to put in the new trilogy. It's just anyway. Like,
Yeah.
The movie is the movie by itself as a standalone movie. If it had no connections to its predecessor or anything, it's a great movie. It's an excellent movie. It's a well-rounded movie. It has a lot of great character development between Violet and fucking Mr. Incredible. That connection was probably the biggest like story development out of anybody else there. I'm kind of sad that Dash didn't get a lot to do until almost the end of the movie.
Like, while that may be true as it is a great standalone movie, it's also a really good predecessor. Sorry,
mean
successor.
sequel?
Yeah. It's a very good... Why did I say predecessor? Anyway.
I don't know.
I'm too used to talking about Star Wars movies.
I think we all are.
But it's a very good sequel. Like, I'm one of those people that if you tell me constantly to go see something or to play something, I'll be a little deterred from wanting to see it or play it or do anything about it because now everybody thinks it's awesome and it's just like, oh great, now everybody thinks it's awesome. Why do I even need to
Right.
see it anymore?
Yeah.
But I still
Also,
really wanted to see
the
it.
one thing that I relatively enjoyed about this was that it's what I like to call a direct sequel. It's a direct following sequel.
Yes,
It
yes,
takes
I love that.
like it takes place literally after The Incredibles. There's no time skip. There's no accelerated aging or anything. Like
Like, thank you.
Some of my favorite sequels are direct following sequels. Like the one that I come like straight to mind is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it's literally
it's literally right
I mean,
after the first
that movie
story.
has its problems. That
Yeah.
movie has its problems, but it's still like I found it really funny and the art style was really nice.
Yes.
Blue
but-
Sky does
But we're
some-
not talking about Cloudy. We're not talking about Cloudy. We're talking about Incredibles.
Okay. Here, let me I never got to talk about Syndrome. Shut the fuck up, man.
I'll never shut up.
But his motivation was actually really interesting because, like I said, that's sort of why I thought Winston might have been the bad guy because in the last movie, he was definitely connected with obsession of supers.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
And since Syndrome was basically obsessed with all the supers, he... See, like, Incredibles 1 was definitely a lot more dark than this one.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
I mean, I don't know why they would attempt to make Incredibles 2 darker, but like Incredibles 1 was very dark. I feel that was an era. It was in an era where Pixar movies were dark in general,
Yeah.
like with
But you
fucking
get- but-
Nemo. With Nemo,
Oh, yeah,
where the
and-
dad gets all of his fucking babies eaten by a barracuda, and the one that survives has a birth deformity.
And then you have Dory, who's reminiscent of a special needs person.
I still haven't seen Finding Dory. Off topic, but
Yes.
Syndrome's motivation was interesting because his hate grew for supers because he didn't have any superpowers. He was jealous of the fact that people idolized them and that people gave them all the credit and them all the glory when he can do just as amazing things. Like, yeah,
With his
And-
inventions.
you know how Mr. Incredible, he belittled him as a kid, like, hey, like, get out of here. Which he was totally right to do, because he was, like, 11 or something.
Yeah. Actually, I think he was more of 14. I think he might have been like a 13, 14. Like he seemed like he was just like
He was still
like adolescent.
nowhere close to being mature enough to handle something like that.
Definitely. Yeah, you're nowhere near like within the ballpark of being able to handle those situations that people like Mr. Incredible, Frozone, Elastigirl, Gazer Beam, those kind of people had to deal with. If it would have been a hell of a lot worse. I feel like that would have been a great premise for Mr. Incredible to Mr. Incredible, The Incredibles, the original movie, to take on, was that Syndrome, if he had become Syndrome and he just consistently tried to interject himself into Mr. Incredible's antics and like superhero actions. He got himself like hurt or fucking killed, like because Mr. Incredible couldn't stop
Well,
him
yeah.
from
That's the
trying to
thing.
help.
The thing about Syndrome's motivation is it was out of him believing that nobody was grateful to him. Like, and
Right.
the whole thing where it's just like, you can't... It's actually interesting because, in a sense, both of the villains have the same motivations. You can't count on anyone, especially your heroes. Direct quote from Syndrome.
Yeah, that's actually kind of something that I've like I've actually kind of paid a little bit of mind to that. When I focused on the sister's motives, she gave me a lot of Syndrome vibes. It's not like it wasn't like a it's just a direct copy. it wasn't like it's not like it's just a direct copy of Syndrome.
She's
They
the
just put it
cynic.
into another movie. It's more of a
Like Elastigirl
it's
described.
more of a yeah.
And
Yeah.
go ahead.
And and the one and let's see was between Syndrome and the sister. I personally like Syndrome. I personally like Syndrome's like motives more. But
I
enjoyed the way
actually
the sister
enjoy
carried them
in the
out.
reverse. Because I like the motivation. I think her motivation is a lot better for what she did, but the way she executed it was a little iffy. That's what I believe, because she just put a bunch of masks on superheroes. Yeah,
she
which
was
I will get
she
to
was in
later.
essence mind controlling them.
Her plan was effective, but Syndrome went underground for years, picking off superheroes one by one. Syndrome, in a sense, was successful.
Yeah, Syndrome was leagues more successful than
Yeah.
than Winston's sister in this, as he literally got results. He actually killed multiple supers off in his plan to make sure that everyone could be super. Everyone could be just like the supers that
Yeah.
that were like
Well,
he
that's
got
the thing.
scolded by.
He mostly wanted to have his own spotlight. When he got old, he planned to.
He wanted
Yeah,
people to
when he
notice
got
him.
old, he
wanted
planned to
attention.
give away all of his inventions, because he's just like, all right. He's thinking ahead. He knows that he has a prime, and when that expires, he'll pass it on. I did enjoy the sister's character though, because she was more manipulative.
Oh, definitely. Like in all, I feel like she's one of the villains that is a villain, but you're still surprised.
Well, yeah,
when
'cause
she's
she-
revealed to be the villain.
Not only was her acting good, but
Yeah, that brings me to scenes in the movie, like the entire bit, like right after Elastigirl was giving her the idea of the signal of the of signaling down like Screenslaver, like when they show the scene of her and Winston just sitting in the same room, just like marveling at the fact that Elastigirl had the idea, I was like,
Yeah.
son of a bitch, am I wrong?
actually,
Like, was I actually
the
wrong about this?
thing that made me question if I was wrong, and then immediately say I was right, was the scene with the Screenslaver, when I thought that Elastigirl was going to arrive where the signal was coming from, and there would be no Screenslaver. There would just be like a microphone next to another microphone.
Right.
Sorry, a speaker next to a microphone. And that being said, as soon as I saw,
Although
as it
her plan,
that it was like somebody who wasn't, in the right mind and didn't know where he was, I'm just like, immediately. Yep, confirmed. She's the villain.
yeah, I'll give you that. Like it was like it was a.
I mean,
it
to
was
be
a
fair,
lack of,
right after that, she says,
suspicion
"I'm
back
just the
into
I'm just the
immediate
person
justification.
behind
Immediate
pulling the strings," or
justification.
whatever she said. Fucking dead, Rainer.
Yeah, that line right there, that was an excellent.
Yeah.
That was an excellent.
Well, like,
that was an
this movie is for
excellent piece of
kids, too,
foreshadowing for those who
is
aren't
the
like me
thing,
and you.
and
just
maybe
aren't
they
that-
enjoyed the twist.
Oh no, a lot
Yeah.
of people enjoyed the twist. Like if it weren't for people like you and me who just watch movies to like analyze them, I feel like the world would be a much simpler place.
Yeah. That's one of the things I always envy of people that like actually like certain movies, because I overanalyze a lot of things.
Right.
So
do
when
I.
people are just like, "Oh, I love The Last Jedi," I'm just like, "You're lucky."
But let's see.
Let's
Favorite-
talk about one of my
favorite
favorite
characters.
scenes.
Oh, your favorite scene? Ooh, I want to hear
One of
this.
them. One of them. I have two favorites.
Okay. Wait, can I guess which one? Can I guess which one it might be?
Yes.
Jack Jack and the Raccoon.
No.
No.
That was funny. That was funny. The raccoon is the MVP, but come on, how is that raccoon not the most baller raccoon you've ever seen? Surviving
he
Jack
is
Jack
the
for that long.
He's the ballsiest animal I have ever met in movie history. Like
Even after the
more
whole
than-
thing, he was still after him.
right? Like you see,
Can
this
he
baby
become the
just
new
kid-
villain in Incredibles 3?
Oh my gosh! Just the raccoon like mutates himself to face Jack Jack.
No, he doesn't. Nothing happens to him.
It's just
Nothing
it's just a raccoon.
changes. Nothing changes.
Oh my gosh!
Count. My brother leaned over to me during the film while that whole thing was happening. He's just like, I think he's the screensaver.
Oh,
Just like, oh my god, shut up.
just stop, boy. That's not who he is. You know that would have been funny if like she actually.
I
got the
would have,
raccoons to just be
I
a
would have
decoy.
I would have loved the movie if that was the case.
That would have been
With
like
the
the
raccoon.
Is it Resident Evil 2 that had the dog running everything from behind the scenes?
That was funny. That was like a spoof ending, right?
Yeah, it was a spoof ending, but you know, it was
That
still
was-
an ending.
That was really funny. But off topic,
But,
one of my favorite scenes, the beginning scene.
Oh, when Tony sees Violet out of the
Yes,
mask and shit.
because it was a direct dialogue homage to Jack Jack's attack.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, I just thought about that actually.
where Mr. Dicker erased Kyrie's mind when she was babysitting Jack Jack.
I actually hadn't paid attention to that because it's been so long since I've actually seen the Jack Jackson.
Like it was, I haven't even rewatched Jack Jack's attack, and I know that it was word for word the same routine he went with Kyrie.
Man, that must be some good memory you got on you.
I have very shitty selective memory.
But why exactly was that your favorite scene aside from that?
Because it was not a direct reference from the movie, but it was a reference from an animated short they had made, which made it work. And it was a perfect way to establish a narrative for a movie that, when you have, because, like, Tony,
Yeah.
like, the mediocre boy, like,
Mediocre. I wouldn't call him mediocre. He seems to be pretty popular with the ladies.
yeah, he's got a job, and he's got, like,
He's got a job. He's on sports
yeah, he's
teams.
he, yeah,
all the
he's in
girls
the
wanna
sports
date
team. He's
him.
got a job. Like, man,
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
mediocre by any means. Just because you want to project your personality onto a character in a movie does not make him mediocre.
no, I want to fuck him. Clearly,
This
that's
is
why. Clearly,
This is
that's
Cardi all over
why.
again.
Oh God.
This is
But,
Cardi all over again. Don't start fucking people. Don't start fucking people.
I refer to anybody. Okay, so mediocre boy is a term that I use when I refer to anybody who is like completely uninserted from the situation that the plot revolves around.
Right. Okay.
Like,
Yeah, I can see
you've
that. I
seen
can
Stranger
understand
Things, right?
that. No, I have not actually.
Damn it.
I mean, I plan to watch it as soon as today is over with. But no, it's. Listen, I know it was.
I don't have a better
worse timing.
example.
I apologize for my ineptitude at watching things.
No,
Speaking of
I don't
ineptitude of
blame you.
watching- Speaking of ineptitude of watching things, I still have not finished all the last 10 episodes of Jaguar Super. But that's beside
Fucking-
the point.
Do it. Okay. Anyway, so that scene is a perfect transition scene for a direct sequel. Mainly because it foreshadows what's going to happen. It does a flash to the future, then a flash back to the present, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like describes the situation, and then goes through with it. Doesn't completely describe it either. It describes it from the point of view of a citizen.
Who didn't see everything, who wasn't
Yeah.
just who wasn't just like an expositional dumb, which
Yes.
I'm very glad that they didn't. I was kind of worried when I saw Tony just sitting there explaining this thing, but then he didn't become an expositional dump, and that's the one thing I'm kind of getting more and more miffed with certain movies. Like I go
And
back and watch. I go
the
back and
reason
watch other
why-
movies, and it's just exposition, narration until the entirety of the book has been explained, and it's just why am I watching it anymore?
Yeah, the reason why I like it is because the viewers already know what's happening when Tony's describing it. Like, we already saw what was happening from the Incredibles' point of view. When he started running away. Like, they all looked up at the Underminer when he started giving his speech. And that was basically the end of the movie, and that's where we leave off with Tony trying not to get hit by a car.
Which great reflexes, by the way.
I was just gonna say this kid. This kid gets right under a car.
Being chucked at him.
Yeah, he gets right under a car. He's got great survival instincts.
I would love to be in a zombie apocalypse with him. He probably let me live until I was like 70.
7. But my other favorite scene is the one with the screenslaver in the hypnotism room. You know the scene where he turns on the screen and it's just a fight scene with like hypnotism graphs everywhere. That was a really well.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Look, I'm a person who appreciates the artistic approach to everything, and that was really fucking cool.
I am too. I'm not denying that.
No, I'm saying that I value that a lot more than I should.
Oh, you're one of those people who relishes in it.
Yes. Like, that was a really ballsy scene when it came to direction, because it was very disorientating.
Because I was so afraid that there was like when I saw that scene, I was like so afraid that there might be like some people in the room with like epilepsy.
Absolutely, it's not enough to actually trigger it, because it's not like intense red or intense blue colors. It's not flashing at a frequency. Because the one of the things that I read,
episode of Pokemon in.
One of the things that I recognized immediately is that they gave the characters a highlight to prevent it.
Oh yeah.
They gave the models a highlight, despite the flashing lights. The models had their own. They had their own little outline, protruding through the light that was flashing everywhere. As unrealistic as it was, it really worked with the cartoony style and prevented people from having seizures in the theater.
Yay for public awareness. But on to my favorite scenes. And my favorite scenes are probably going to be completely different in terms of why I like them.
I mean,
off the bat,
these are just scenes that blew me away.
Off the bat, favorite scene is one of my favorite scenes is when Mr. Incredible brings Violet and Dash and Jack to the diner. And
God damn it! I cringed so hard.
Yes, and when Tony reveals himself when Violet sees Tony, it just the water spurts out of his nose. Just downright one of my golden moments from Pixar. Now it's up there. It's right up there with Marlin hugging his dad, the furnace scene from Toy Story 3, and now this.
The furnace scene is one of your favorite scenes.
Yes, because it was the furnace scene from Toy Story 3 was the most dramatic thing Pixar had done up until that point.
And it's a movie about fucking toys.
Anyway, I enjoyed that scene for a multitude of reasons. One because it was showing like it was showing Mr. Incredible's desperation to try to repair
Yes.
everything between Violet himself and trying to get Violet and Tony back together. Well, not back together, but get Tony to introduce himself to Violet. It kind of accentuates the whole Violet is just a teenager who's really embarrassed to be around boys type thing, which was
Well, she's embarrassed to be
very
around
funny.
her family too when she's around.
Yeah, she's
boys.
just embarrassed. She was just like completely embarrassed to be around anybody there, and she couldn't get away, which made it a lot funnier.
She has a. The thing is, she has a desire to independently socially function, like without her
Yeah.
family.
But
And she doesn't necessarily
favorite-
dislike her family. She just wants to be able to function without them.
and another my other like I have 3 favorite scenes, but my second.
I
favorite
actually
scene
have
is-
3 too, and I'll see if they match up with yours.
My second favorite scene is Jack and the raccoon, only because that like my favorite part of that scene was
The
when
shot
raccoon
where he
got-
sets on fire.
Yes, where the raccoon is just stuck in the lawn chair, and then you just see Jack across it, and he just like instantly just like sets himself on
The
fire. And I'm
angle
just
of
like,
that shot was horrifying.
that was fucking that was fucking scary. I was like I thought Jack was gonna go full serial killer for a second, and he just like murdered that. Holy.
The minute I saw the
like-
angle of that shot, I was just like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, but let's see. That scene was like a great way to like fully start displaying like Jack's like wide array of abilities and superpowers. Like it was cool. It wasn't cheesy in any way, shape, or form. And it didn't overdo it because it included new powers as well as powers that we saw from the previous film, like Jack putting himself on fucking fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then my third favorite scene, and this was kind of a tie. My third favorite scene was actually the end of the movie. But when the entire family's in the car, and Tony's in the car with them, and then they just see like people like a car like a speeding like a car chase going by, and Violet's just like, can we get out of the car first, please? And then she's just like she's like trying to resolve everything. She's like, I'll be back in like 5 minutes. I'll be back before the previews are over. Don't leave without me. And then they all start putting on their masks and shit. And then you see the Incredible just transform into the family colors.
Mm-hmm. Well, the
Which
reverse of that, but
Cause I called that. Like I was talking to my friend in the movie when they revealed the Incredible had been bought by like a random guy. I was like, how would you?
That was funny.
I was like, they're gonna get this car back and they're gonna paint it the new colors. And he was like, nah, that's the Incredible. Why would they do that? He was like, it's because that's just how it's gonna be. And then I see it. I'm just like, that looks fucking beautiful. I'm glad they actually did it.
also Edna threatened them that if they didn't do that, she wouldn't design stuff for
Yeah.
Jack.
I
So
would like it as if I was the only designer for you.
you do a really good impression of her.
Do I actually?
Yes.
Oh wow. I'm
At
officially
least
Brad Bird.
closer than what I can do. Because
Anyway.
I can't get my voice that high.
But what was your third favorite scene?
My third favorite scene was actually when Mr. Incredible was wide awake in his bed and he gets up to read Dash's books to help him with his math.
Oh yeah, that was actually a really
That was a
really
great transition scene for it was a great montage setup.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things I enjoy about the Incredibles too, is that their montages aren't bad. They aren't just like they haven't made a bad montage. The first montage in the original Incredibles with Mr. Incredible, getting his confidence back, being able to get his confidence back,
Yeah.
all that working out and stuff, that was a really well done one. And now you have this one to parallel kind of parallel against the one from the first one where he's
Exactly.
no longer, yeah, where he's just like, I'm gonna be a good father now. It's not about me. It's about my family.
Yeah, like, because in the first film, like, he was self-conscious about how he's, like, he got fat, and he got, like, and he has a shitty job, but now he's a good job, and now he can do whatever he wants, and that sort of earned his confidence back. And that he,
Yeah,
like,
that's.
lost a bunch of weight.
Oh, speaking of stuff from like from like Incredibles 2. I had been told there was no end credit there was no post credit sequence, which was kind of sad to me. But I kind of but there was
Why did
part
people
of
tell
me.
you that?
No, people told me there was no post credit scene. They told me that ahead of time because it's Disney now and they're including post credit scenes in all the superhero movies.
Mm.
But the way I was kind of hoping there was one because I really wanted to see something resolved with the Underminer because he just got away.
I was gonna say, he's still at large.
Yeah, like he basically robbed like two full banks and got away, and there's nothing to show for, and you have nothing there. Like unless they're making a third one where they actually like they actually just have like a small like little scene, or they make another like short like they did with Jack's attack, where they tend to the matter of the Underminer. That's kind of like a little untied end, and it's kind of unnerving.
Well, there are supervillains everywhere is the thing. Like, there are superheroes and there are also supervillains. Like, here's the thing. There's I just want to mention something. When he released the escape pod and it just became a tinier drill, I laughed my ass off in the theater.
Yeah, I did too because that was kind of funny. It was like one of those like
He's
comedic,
just
like 1950.
Yeah,
It's
go
like one
ahead.
of those comedic 1950s moments where it's just like you have like a big car just to reveal a smaller car in it as a way of getting out.
No, the thing that made me laugh my ass off is that it's a track. It's like tracks moved like gopher feet.
Oh yeah, that was.
I was just like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And the
All
fact that
right.
the
So now
guy,
that we're done talking about scenes and stuff,
I have a.
well,
Can
that
we start talking about gripes?
yeah, like gripes, and then we'll move into like our final section, which is going to be the MVPs of the movie. Like
Okay.
favorite, like the MVP characters. But gripes, since you started off with this, since you started off with last section, I'm gonna start off with this section. Personal gripes with the movie. It's okay. So as you know, not everybody else who watches these videos, but as you know, I'm a big science guy. I'm a physics kind of person.
Uh huh.
And the one the one of my personal gripes was Elastigirl saving the train. And
You're not the only one.
it was more or less like I get it. She used her full
Her
body.
weight's
Became, like,
not
a
enough
gigantic
to.
Yeah, like her weight wouldn't be enough. Her weight wouldn't be enough to stop that train from falling off the tracks. Like yeah, you kind of had to make it like that because it's a kids movie. But it's also Disney, and Disney ain't afraid to show death in a kids movie.
Uh, there was a lot less death in this movie,
Yeah,
like
but there was,
significantly.
and then like another gripe I had with it was the let's put it like this: the screenslaver masks.
I liked it.
Like, okay, so my entire notion, my entire notion about it was like, how do I put this? Like when the reveal of the screenslaver being Winston's sister was well placed. It was well done. It was amazing. However, the idea of having mind control goggles just didn't sit right with me. Like I feel like it would have been better if if I would feel like it would be like better, like or like more maniacal, if the cameras that she made to put inside each of the super suits also were like a little mind control type thing.
That's one of the things that I thought was going to be reevaluated later, like, because the minute they mentioned cameras, I'm like, yeah, they mentioned that for a reason, and it's going to come back to
Right.
bite them. But it
Like the only
actually
reason
was the
the only reason
thing
they
that
mentioned
helped
cameras.
her. It was actually the thing that helped her figure it out.
Yeah. Like the minute they mentioned cameras, I thought that was gonna be like a bigger portion of the movie than just she's gonna use these to monitor the supers and everything. Like it's like that was all they were really made for. It's a minor gripe, but it's still a gripe. Let's see. Another thing that kind of ticked me off about the movie was Winston. Winston himself.
Okay.
and and it's more or less because of the fact that I thought it's more or less because of he's like this eager like doe-eyed superhero fan. He
Uh huh.
wants he realizes that supers have been wronged and stuff, but it's he should have like I feel like him and his sister should have been on the same page after their father's death because
Well, the thing is, she
like
explained why.
yeah, she explained it, but at the same time, your father, like their father was not. He
They
put so much
blamed.
blind faith in them.
They blamed different things. Is the thing.
Yeah,
He blamed the fact that supers weren't around anymore because if he had called them and supers weren't illegal, they would have came and rescued him.
and she blamed the fact that he was reliant on the supers.
Yeah, if he had just gone in the safe room, he would have been fine.
Yeah, which also brings another point up. You know, that's a whole law. That is an entire law that went into effect around that time. That is an entire like piece of legislation that would have gotten that's gotten a lot of publicity as the previous movie has shown. So why the hell are you calling them if you know they can't go into action anymore?
Because he thinks they'll do it anyway, because he has that much faith in them.
I mean, yeah, but here's the thing: faith can go so far before legal action takes over.
He was old.
Yeah, but I just feel like I just feel like Winston's like over eagerness was kind of like off putting.
Well, he probably got it from his father. Ah, okay, my turn. Unless you have any more.
Let's see. Uh, da- Dash's like lack of like anything in the movie aside from being somebody who's like that. Like, let's see. Like you have in the last movie, Dash was kind of like there. Like Dash wasn't just like there. He kind of had like an active role. But like in this movie, I get it. They're trying to focus more on Elastigirl being the forefront of the super revolution, and Violet being Violet's like character development as she's a growing teenager. She's like trying to understand what it's like to be a teenage girl and shit. I get that, but I feel like Dash should have had something more there than just him being there. Him being like the kid who doesn't understand math. Because that's all I really got from him in this movie.
I do agree. That was one of my feelings that I had with how they presented Dash a lot. I'm just like, whenever he showed up on screen, I'm just... Admittedly, I was kind of annoyed sometimes whenever he showed up on screen, because there was a reason why he was likable in Incredibles 1, and it's because he felt that he was misunderstood all the time, and that he was constantly under regulation. And he finally, whenever he got the chance to use his superpowers, he was overjoyed. But this movie, he was sort of like, he was more of, oh, I get the chance to be cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That wasn't as good as. This is only compared to Incredibles 1 because I still liked him as a character. My personal gripes
Yeah,
with the
he's a fun
movie
character.
is um the mass introduction of the other superheroes.
Oh yeah. Okay. See,
It was really hard to keep that in line with the pacing of the movie for me.
you know what? You know, I feel like they
Also,
should have gotten
some of them looked
Infinity
out
Wars
of
writers.
place.
I feel like they should have gotten like the people who like also like wrote Infinity War to like kind of help them with that introduction because you know, Infinity War did a
Shut.
pretty good job of introducing every character and setting them up properly.
Yeah, but still, these are characters that are new and we
Yeah.
know nothing about and
Right.
have seconds to introduce themselves.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, quick
Maybe
little quick little side talk. Regardless of how you felt, regardless of how you felt about the introduction of the characters, which one of the new supers was your favorite super?
I mean the only one that was notable was Void.
Yeah.
Actually, no, Acid Reflux Man.
Oh yeah. He's like superpowered condition. You decide.
Yeah. God,
Anyway,
God, now I
think
wish
Void
Mercedes.
is
God, now I wish Mercedes is here.
Oh my gosh. But continue.
That's
with your
going
gripes.
on record, and she can listen. And I don't care. It's funny. You know it's funny.
All right, continue with your gripes.
The that was only one of my huge gripes. Well, huge compared to the other ones that I had with it. It's just that I felt a lot of them were really forced into the mix, and the villain could have been efficient with just the three of them.
Yeah.
I feel that
Like,
everything else was
Frozone in and of
extra.
himself is Frozone in and of himself was such a strong super, and Violet Dash definitely would have definitely had a hard time enough just fighting him.
Yeah, see, everything felt really extra when they included those superheroes. Also,
you
some
have
of
to
their
realize
designs,
that they-
some of their
you have to-
designs kind of put me off.
Yeah. Okay. Especially Brick.
Yeah, Brick was fucking Wreck-It Ralph.
And that's kind of the sad part because we already have Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph is good by himself. You don't need no super.
Like, a lot of their aesthetics didn't look like the Incredibles
Okay.
aesthetic.
And here's the thing. Did you think that Crush and the Lightning guy were like partners?
I'm just glad that they didn't give the Lightning guy flame powers instead.
Flame on.
Get it? Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm clever.
I swore like when I saw the Crush and the Lightning guy together. I thought they were like two people who like work together and stuff. I was like, oh, it's this
Nah,
duo.
nah, he's just got a crush on him.
Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. I should just end the recording right here. Just leave.
To be
just
fair-
leave it like that.
You know, I wouldn't find that very shocking.
You, my friend, are the reason I drink pills.
All right. But
any
other
you
gripes.
have?
Honestly, not very major ones. Cause, like I do heavily prefer the first Incredibles movie's pacing to this one.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Cause
on that is,
Incredibles 1 compared to Incredibles 2, Incredibles 2 feels like a much shorter movie. 'cause-
yeah, Incredibles 2 actually went by a lot faster than I thought. It felt like for it to be a full 2-hour movie, it went by relatively quickly.
Yeah, I didn't see. There were a lot of points in the movie where I was like anticipating, oh, are we at the halfway point yet?
Yeah, I'm pretty
And
sure the halfway point was what? Like when I'm pretty sure the halfway point was like that was like when Mr. Incredible like finally got everything together.
yeah, like the minute I
Was it
started
halfway
to
point?
stop seeing, the minute I started to stop seeing scenes that we had already seen from the movie trailers was just like, okay, and now I can start like going into the movie with fresh eyes, because I don't like saying this, but I do not enjoy watching trailers.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Trailers nowadays have gotten to the point where you could basically get the full gist of what the movie is going to be about from
And then
what
they had the
people are-
fucking nerve in the theater I was in to put a whole behind the scenes, like, hey, this is our movie we worked on for 14 years. Come and watch it before the movie, showing scenes that I hadn't seen before. And they're like fucking teasing the movie when I'm in the fucking theater. You don't have to sell me
Yeah.
this shit. I'm in the theater. Why do you need to convince me to stay? I paid for the ticket. I'm here. Let me watch my fucking movie.
Take a breath there, Sketch. Take a breath there.
I don't understand why they do that. Have trailers for the movie you're already seeing.
But I actually found that that beginning section kind of okay. You know, they were just like, listen, we get it.
No,
It's been
fuck
14
you.
It's been 14. Listen, it's like, listen, we get it. It's been 14 years since we made Incredibles 1. It takes a while to make fucking movies, don't you? I hope you get that.
Yeah, but they didn't keep. It was okay. Look, it was annoying to the point where they were still showing scenes. They could have just cycled through the actors. They could have stopped talking about the movie itself. They could have stopped throwing in those, oh, look at this model before we started rendering it. Why don't you show me the movie's entire skeleton before I've even seen it?
But beside that massive gripe that you just had,
I'm sorry.
anything else?
That's not really the movie's fault. That's more of the marketing team's fault.
Yeah, you can't really fault the movie for that. But anything else?
One gripe.
Okay.
I didn't. What was it? It was right at the tip of my tongue. There was this one scene that made me feel a little icky, and it was Oh wait, no, I remember. When Frozone like goes to the house.
Yeah.
No, actually, not that one. When Frozone goes with them to the building, and they start explaining.
Which building? Because Frozo's gone to a lot of buildings in this movie.
No, sorry. When Frozone invites them to come with them to the building.
Oh, and when he just walks in to the fucking pool, at the fucking pool with them, and he's
No,
already in his
I'm talking. We're going to the building part when he invites them, and they all walk in, and they start giving like exposition from Winston, and the sister comes in, and she makes the point about the safe room. I wanted that to be revealed a little later. Like, the whole safe room thing, I wanted that to be revealed a little later. Just because it would be a little more shocking.
As we pass the 1 hour mark.
Yes.
But
So overall,
anything else?
I thought this movie was great.
Yeah, so did I. Okay, final section. This is probably gonna be like the last 10 minutes of the video, guys. So strap yourselves in. This is gonna be a wild ride.
I mean, editing wise, this is probably still gonna end up being an hour.
I mean, definitely. But MVP of the movie. Since I started the last section, you go ahead. Who is your favorite character? Who did you think took the movie home with them?
That's hard. Winston.
Can we just both agree that it wasn't Dash?
I mean, Dash had his moments. MVP.
But here's the thing. He
Not
had
really.
his moments, and that's the problem. He had his moments. He didn't have any like standout scenes.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, it's not. See, the problem is I'm not actually too disappointed. Mainly because I wasn't a huge fan. Mainly because Incredibles 1 was mostly about the fact that they all wanted to get out of the cage and use the powers that they were
Right.
given to use. And it wasn't a fight revolutionary-wise. It was a fight to save their dad who was doing illegal shit. And the fact that Dash and Violet and their mom had to all work together to get to that island. And Dash discovering how to use his powers, and Violet as well. That was a really good way to have their development. Dash doesn't get a lot of chances to do that because he's just fast.
Right. But do you have a full MVP of the movie? Because I think I do.
I'm thinking. Unfortunately, I wouldn't say that it's Mr. Incredible.
And that I would agree with you on. I don't think like for as well as he did in this movie, I don't think he's the one that deserves.
I don't think
the title.
I don't think Elastigirl either.
Yeah. Okay, so that means we're both thinking the same character then.
Probably Violet.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the thing about The Incredibles is that it's the perfect concept for a family film. Because there are so many different perspectives, because it's literally a family superhero film.
Right.
That has a family in it.
And like the whole notion of you go from the first movie was to put it more or less more about Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl than it was about the kids.
Yes.
And this one focused more on the kids, mainly being Jack, and Violet. And while
I actually don't agree with that.
Well,
I do think that the plot was more centered around the
Elastigirl.
Yeah, around Elastigirl. It definitely was more because the first one was more centered around Mr. Incredible.
Yeah. So
Wow.
if we do get an Incredible 3, it better be about Violet.
That would be interesting. Maybe Violet and Void doing crime fighting together.
Maybe, but I think for the movie, and that's actually kind of a sad thing to think about. That the person that this movie was made for, Elastigirl, wasn't really the weight bearer for this movie for me. Like, I feel like Violet did such a good job because it wasn't just about her, being a superhero. It was more about her being a normal girl trying to get her life together.
See, here's the thing why it doesn't work for me. The reason it doesn't work is because Elastigirl is constantly in the spotlight of being the MVP already.
Right. So
because she's viewed as the person who gets shit done without casualties, who gets everything done quite easily, who even went as far as to saying, oh, a lot of these tasks were too easy, and that's why she figured it out. To the point where I would never say that she's a Mary Sue in any regard, because her powers, work with her character, and she was basically the same as she was.
She's a flexible human, she's a flexible super.
Yeah. And all the tasks she's doing are very lined up with what she's capable with, minus that parachute thing, which I think the train probably would have stopped anyway. Even if she hadn't.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I think yeah, because the sister was because of the fact that the sister was more
She wasn't trying to
on
kill
the
people.
yeah, she wasn't trying to kill people. She's just trying to. Well, then again, she was going to crash the entirety of that boat into the city.
She was trying. Well, actually, she was trying to help supers get the spotlight
So she
first,
could just rip it
so
away.
she could rip it away from them and lose everyone's trust. Which I don't know. That's actually another gripe I have with the movie. How did they recover from that?
I don't know.
How did nobody believe? How did everybody just believe that she mind controlled them into doing all of that?
Like she's a freaking tech genius. Just give her that credit and leave it at that.
All right, whatever. It just seemed like, oh, everybody's worshiping the heroes, even worshiping the supers, even though everybody thinks that they threatened to crash a boat into the city. Everybody's just like, yay! They threatened our lives.
Yeah, but any final thoughts in the matter of Incredibles 2?
I have a question for you. If you
Yeah,
could
go
choose
ahead.
one, which do you think is the better movie?
See, I they're both no pun intended, incredible. They're both incredible. No pun intended.
I was setting you up for that.
But if I had to choose one, I'd probably say the original Incredibles. Without nostalgia filter. This is purely as somebody who watched both movies in isolation from one another. The Incredibles in its original aspect was a good movie. Mr. Incredible's character was more developed in the first 10 minutes of that movie than any other superhero movie has managed to do today. Like,
I'd have to agree with. Actually, I think Doctor Strange and Iron Man did that really well.
okay, yeah, but The Incredibles, like, it did a well. It's a well-rounded movie. It's a well-rounded movie. It has great action. It has great fight sequences. Like the fight sequence, like it has great action sequences. Like Dash finding out he could run on water was probably one of the best. Was probably one of the
Very
best
well
scenes, like,
storyboarded.
yeah, was probably one of the best scenes of The Incredibles. And there's so much that I could go on with The Incredibles because we all know how good the original Incredibles was.
Yeah.
But I'm not. But neither one. Okay, for all you all watching this, neither one of us are discrediting Incredibles 2. Neither one of us are.
Fuck that movie. Come on.
God damn it, Sketch.
I mean, there are a lot of gripes you can have with the original too.
Yeah, you can have a lot of gripes with the original one, like you have a lot of gripes with the newest one. Long story short, we both think both movies are incredible. Pun intended that time.
Okay, so
But-
here's my take on it. I agree, but only because I believe that Incredibles 1 is its own movie. And
Also,
there are a lot of homages and references in Incredibles 2 that I feel if you had watched the first Incredibles would only make you enjoy it as much as you did the first one if you had seen it.
so you're saying if people just watched Incredibles 2 by itself, they would still be able to enjoy Incredibles 1?
I feel that it's more geared towards the people that had seen the first film.
Yeah, that's kind of that was my main problem with Last Jedi. Not Last Jedi, The Force Awakens. If that makes any sense at all, like the way that movie was structured was more grinding, like gearing towards like people who had watched the original 3, rather than just making an entirely new story.
I actually disagree with that, and we can have that conversation later.
That newsflash, everybody! This will be our next off the network topic. Why Force Awakens was a bad movie.
We can totally bring on Mercedes for that. it totally won't be. Well, I'll probably
It
host
totally
that
won't be a
one
dumpster
because.
fire.
Okay, so overall, I think that I enjoyed the pacing a lot more in Incredibles 1. Incredibles 1's
agree.
pacing was really good. One of the
agree
things that
completely.
one of the things that Brad Bird is really good with is directing movies with really good pacing. And everything. Just everything. Brad Bird's amazing. He's a god. But
God, if you love him so much, go suck his dick already.
maybe I will. But the one thing I can always say about The Incredibles is that it may or may not be an original idea, but it's definitely a movie that you cannot really compare to anything else unless you compare it aesthetically, like Fantastic Four or something. Because like a family of superheroes and working dynamically as a family, that's a really interesting concept, and it was executed really well, even though most people would expect that to go bullshit when it comes to concept, if it's not in the right hands.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. I'm 100% with you on that one.
But the thing about Incredibles 2 is that it tried to be its own movie, but it knew that it couldn't. Like, one of the things that was an indicator of that were the new supers. They were extremely out of place, and they looked like a new approach to something. They were new designs, new characters. Like, Winston and Ellen from the Ellen Show were were new characters, but they still looked like they were from The Incredibles. Like, a lot of them looked like The Incredibles, but for some reason the other supers didn't, and I feel that they were trying to appeal to, like, separate aesthetics, and they were trying to appeal in general. That being said,
maybe they're trying to set something up in the future. Maybe they want to make like a little spin-off movie where where those supers get, more screen time. And
that being said, I really enjoyed the movie and is a very worthy successor to the original Incredibles.
It is a very worthy successor. Pixar, aside from Finding Dory, which we may or may not,
I haven't seen it yet.
Talk about in the near future. It's been 2 years.
Didn't wanna.
You're gonna have to watch it because we're gonna have to
I have a #1 Nemo fan poster on my wall. Nemo is my favorite fucking Pixar movie.
Anyway.
I don't, by the way.
Anyway, so long story short, aside from Finding Dory, like Pixar has done relatively well with sequels and follow-up movies in the 2010s.
I'd have to agree. There's definitely,
because Toy Story 3 and Incredibles 2, because Finding Dory was probably the worst one out of all of them, and that's not by
I have to see the movie to even comment.
You would have to see it. I can't really explain this movie to you because I find it okay, but
does
I'm not good.
Does Dory have a mental breakdown and start ovulating all over the floor? I asked a simple question. I asked a question.
Stop it. I'm telling you the answer. Stop it.
Wait, actually, you have a better question. Did Dory get their Twitter account back?
Anyway, guys, that has been it for Off the Network. I have been your host, Cartoon Network Geek, along with, the animator for this show.
Thank you for joining us on our Onision rant. We will make more podcasts relating to trending YouTubers in the future.
Next episode is on Rice Gum. See you
no,
all
it's
next
not.
time. Bye.
It's on Leafy.